A week has passed since the day R didn't raise the stone. In the trap where a deer was meant to fall, a man appeared instead, the leader of a neighboring tribe. They pulled him out, bandaged his wounds, warmed him by the fire. Now there is not one circle of people at the camp, but two. R's tribe, 19 people. Kair's tribe, almost as many. They sit by two fires, but under the same rock. The fire is one, the land is one. Their pasts different. In a world where people more often killed than forgave, R's mercy became a crack in the old order. But cracks don't just break things. Through them, you can sometimes see something new.
Food is running out. The hunt brings less and less meat. Herds move away. There are few roots and nuts. Now that two tribes share one riverbank, every extra mouth feels like a stone in the hand. After several short hunts, the hunters begin to bring back not meat, but traces. Tracks of deer that have gone farther. Tracks of people moving in the same direction. The elders of both tribes agree on one thing. To stay here means to die slowly. To leave separately means to become enemies again. The decision seems impossible until one of the hunters brings a stone. This stone is not from here. Such a shell could only come from far away, from another shore, from a land where there was once much water and life. Someone left it as a gift or a sign. The elders remember, far to the southwest, there are places where animals stay longer, where winter is softer. Thus, a goal is born to find the land of abundance before the real cold arrives.
The great journey began not in the peak of the icy wind, but in a rare window when the frost weakened. By day, the snow melted slightly. By night, it froze again with a crust. This was a short time when one could go far without sinking waist-deep into loose snow. It is in this period that the tribes decide to move. They know in a couple of weeks the wind will change, the sky will darken, and real storms will come. Then it will be almost impossible to travel. They have a small reserve of warmth and almost no reserve of time.
On the road, they take only what they cannot survive without. The men carry spears, clubs, knives of flint, wooden and bone blanks for new weapons. Some of the hides, those that hold warmth best. The women carry leather bags with dried meat and fat, bundles of dry moss for bedding and instead of bandages, children on the hip, on the back, in their arms. The heavy loads that cannot be carried on the back are dragged along the ground. To a long pole, they tie hides, bones, soft things, and two people drag this burden over the crust of snow. Sometimes a fallen tree trunk is used like a sled. A wounded or weak elder may ride on such a sled, but most often the elders walk themselves, more slowly, yet more stubbornly than anyone. They do not carry fire openly. The smoldering embers are hidden in small leather pouches filled with ash and distributed among several people at once. If one pouch goes out, the others will survive. This is the heartbeat of the tribe, broken into several rhythms.
A great movement is not just a crowd, it is order. At the front walk 2 or 3 of the most experienced trackers. They read the land, tracks, snow, wind. Behind them, the leaders, Ar and Kair. Their place is not at the very front and not at the very back, but where both ends can be seen. In the middle, women and children. This is the soft core of the tribe, which must be protected from any attack by beast, wind, or stranger. On the sides, slightly apart, walk the strongest hunters. They look to the side, not under their feet. They notice predators, unexpected tracks, catch the cries of birds with their ears. At the very end, 2 or 3 who pick up dropped things check that no one has fallen behind. This is not a weak point, but an important barrier in case danger comes from behind. Thus, humans turn a chaotic escape from a camp into organized movement. This is no longer a pack, it is a column.
They moved by day. At night, cold and predators ruled more strongly than humans. But even by day, they could not walk thoughtlessly. They oriented themselves by the sun. It showed where south was, where north. By the relief, they memorized the shapes of rocks, lone trees, the bends of the river. Rivers were like lines on an invisible map. Along them, there were animals and water. If the sky was covered with clouds, they watched the wind, from which direction it brought snow, where the icy air cut harder. This hinted at where the open plains were and where sheltered valleys lay. They did not defend themselves from predators alone. At night, they lit several fires in a small circle. People slept closer to the center and stood guard in turn, men and sometimes women. In their hands, a spear and a burning torch. On the road, if they noticed traces of large predators, a lion, hyenas, a wolf pack, they tried to keep to open spaces where it was harder for a beast to sneak up. Sometimes they made noise on purpose, shouted, struck spears against stone, showing, "We are not prey, there are many of us."
The first days they walked quickly. The land still did not feel alien. The food seemed enough, and the goal close. But the farther they went, the longer the road became. The dried meat was running out. They had to save the fat. Children asked for food more often. The elders began to lag behind, yet stubbornly kept going. Such journeys could last for weeks. The people of that era were hardy, but not made of stone. Every new day of the road cost them strength and perhaps years of life.
Ar's woman, Leah, had long been carrying new life under her heart. While they lived at the old camp, the journey had seemed short, and neither he nor she thought the birth would come in the middle of the road. In the first days, Leah walks on par with the others. She is silent, clenching her teeth, shifts the load from one shoulder to the other, hoping she will reach the new camp before her body says stop. But the body does not obey plans. At first, a pulling pain in the lower belly. Then, more and more frequent contractions. She tries to keep walking, not to hold everyone back because of herself. But on the next climb up the slope, her legs buckle. Not now, not here, not in the rocks.
The place where it happens can hardly be called lucky. The cliffs rise like a wall. The snow here is thin, under it stone. No bushes, no trees, which means almost no fuel. Little game as well. Animals prefer to move along the valley, not over rock. Yet it is here that R notices a narrow, dark opening in the rock wall. It is a cave. He steps inside, lifting a torch. It smells dry. On the floor, old charred bones and a layer of darkened ash. People have lived here before, once, long ago. That means this place can give shelter once more. There will be no wind here. Here, we can keep the fire without fearing it will be blown out. Here, Leah can lie down instead of falling into the snow. He leads people out of the cold, calls the women to come and help. Leah can no longer walk. She has no more thoughts for the road. Her body is busy with only one thing: bringing a new life into the world.
Childbirth in that era was a matter of life and death. The women of the tribe surround Leah in a half circle, shielding her from the wind and from strangers' eyes. She leans her hands on the cold stone, sinks into a deep squat. It helps the body. Instead of a bed, hides. Instead of water, snow melted over a small fire. Blood is absorbed by moss. The umbilical cord is cut with a sharp flint blade, heated beforehand in the fire to lessen the risk of infection. The newborn is immediately rubbed with a thin layer of fat. This is his first clothing against the cold. Then he is wrapped in a dry hide and pressed to his mother's chest. There are no screams and no loud words, only heavy breathing, muffled groans, the whispers of women, short words of support, hands that hold when a new wave of pain rolls through. Such births rarely went easily, but if they ended well, it was a small miracle against the backdrop of a vast, indifferent winter. While a new person is being born inside the cave, the sky outside is changing. The wind grows stronger. The clouds become heavier and darker. The elders feel it almost with their bodies. There will be not just snow, but a true storm. They know when such a wind begins, walking across open ground becomes deadly. You can no longer see where the cliffs drop away. You can lose each other in the white veil. You can freeze to death even if you are strong, simply because by the 10th step you are climbing on the last of your strength. Kair steps out to the edge of a rocky ledge and looks into the distance. His jaw is clenched. When the child is already lying at his mother's breast, R and Kair remain at the cave entrance. Their words are short, but in them, the whole difference between two views of the world. Kair points toward the valley they have been walking toward all these days with a gesture. There is a faint trail of smoke. There are tracks. There may be the fertile land they are seeking by the chain of stones and gifts. He points at the cave. With a gesture, here is rock and emptiness. No forest, no animals, nothing to burn. Even if you survive this storm, you will die of hunger. R looks at Leah and the child, at the elders who can barely stand, at the little ones huddled quietly by the entrance. He points to the sky, a gesture, storm, then to the people inside the cave. And with a gesture, he says, they will not make it. This is not just an argument about a route. It is two different understandings of duty. For Kair, the highest duty is to bring as many people as possible to a land where there is enough food. For R, it is not to sacrifice those who are already at the edge. Once before, R already made a choice.
not to finish off his enemy. Now before him lies another, the life of his own child and the weak, or a chance for the entire united tribe. Path A. Shelter. R decides to stay. Part of the people, those who have children, the elders, those who are already almost at their limit, remain with him in the cave. They risk dying of hunger, but have a chance to outlive the storm, to gather strength, and then, perhaps, begin the journey again, in small groups, carefully. Thus is born the line of those who stake everything on shelter, patience, and adaptation. Path B, the chase for abundance. R decides to go on. He leaves Leah and the child in the care of the women and elders, or takes them along, knowing it is almost madness. But he believes the fertile land exists. Otherwise, there would be no chain of gifts, stones, shells. Kair leads forward those who can still walk fast. They hurry to reach the new valley before the storm closes the sky completely. Thus is born the line of those who choose risk and movement, believing the reward will repay everything.
In a world where humans have no maps, no laws, no gods yet, it is not a book that makes the choice. It is one person standing between rock, storm, and a fragile life that has only just begun. R does not know how the path will end, neither one nor the other, but his decision will remain in the memory of those who survive and become part of that long story we call evolution.